Hey everyone, my name's Elise, welcome back to another video. Today we got another episode of Dono Review, the series in which viewers donate for me to play a deck of their choice in a remote duel local, and then I'm either allowed to make changes or not make changes, or, you know, we go with whatever and we see what happens. So today we got to play the one and only Sky Striker. Obviously people always ask me about Striker more, and they always want my opinion, they want this or that, because, you know, apparently I play Striker sometimes, but today we got to play Striker, and I'm gonna throw up the initial list that we got sent in the first place. It wasn't too far off what I would honestly be willing to play normally, so there's not too much I would do differently, but at the same time, there are a couple things I would do a little differently. So his initial list, it was mainly the Pankratops instead of the third rose, which I don't agree with either of those changes. Okay, everyone always flames me for the three rose thing, which I kind of get, but like, I'll explain it again later. And Pankratops is just in a weird place this format. Like, if you expect a lot of rogue, I think Pank is really good, but otherwise, I just have an iffy reason to like be able to fit it into my main deck. Lancea is not a bad option in the main deck. I just don't think it's like as versatile in the main because you don't have as much power working in right away. So I'm a little iffy about that card personally, but it's not like bad or anything. And then I think he meant to play Droplet instead of the Chalice, but if he did, then either way I would have just swapped it out of whatever it is. Otherwise the spell lineup looks, you know, pretty much the same of what I would normally play. So this list is actually not that far off. The only extra deck thing that I wouldn't really do myself was the Zeus, which I understand the logic of like taking XYZ, do whatever, but I feel like it just doesn't come up as much. I'd rather have other utility packages, so I think it's fine to not do that if you don't want to. So otherwise, and then in the side deck, I really don't like running like a Floodgate like summon limit. If I'm gonna run Floodgates, I want to be something like There Can Be Only One, or something that can like work well going second, and unfortunately we don't have good Floodgates right now that work going second that are effective in the meta, so I just wouldn't run a Floodgate personally. And if you guys remember my argument for why I don't like Droll in this deck, it's just because I don't like it because you're not a deck that easily OTKs, and you don't easily capitalize on them stopping. You want to remove resources more than anything else, so Droll is like a little bit weird for me. If I'm gonna play anything for Drytron, I'd rather just play Cycle Reader. But as you'll see when I get to my side deck, I don't play anything like that. So, but anyways, let's just get into my list. That was just a quick overview of the list I got sent. So let's get into the list I played today. So first of all, I went 3-1 in the tournament tonight. My only loss was the bird deck. It was probably something I could have prevented just because like I got into like a couple points where I was overthinking it a bit, and I definitely could have played it a little better, but at the end of the day, like, I still went 3-1, but like, my other matchups were Pure Magistus, Pure Live Twin, and then the Shaddoll Trap deck, which the Shaddoll Trap deck is normally a super struggle, but like, it apparently worked out at the end of the day. So anyways, let's just go into the deck list. So it's 3 Ray and 3 Rose. Like I said, I think the fact that, like, if you are able to start playing the game, you should normally be able to win the game, or at least stay in the game to the point where you can attempt to grind to a point where you can attempt to win. So I think being able to play the game is just way too important not to play 3 rows. People argue it, people don't agree with it, but I think it's perfectly fine at 3. I don't understand why you wouldn't, personally, but apparently everyone else thinks it doesn't need to be at 3, but what do I know? But then for the hand trap lineup, 3 Ash, 3 Bell, 3 Nibiru, and then we also played 3 Imperm. So a couple of changes in the deck list were because of Cody Angeloff, because I like joked with him that he should play Striker on his stream, and he decided to actually do it because he wanted a little break. And he decided to play Imperm in this deck because Imperm's actually like a lot better for slower decks like this, because it also just works as more of a tempo card overall in the grind game. So this card is actually really nice and came up in a lot of instances, because there are even points against Drytron and Virtual World where Imperm actually hurts them very heavily. And a grind card for this deck is better than like a stop card or blowout card that you would normally play in other decks. So I think Imperm for this specific deck was definitely nice. The only thing I was like iffy about to a degree was Bell, just because I'm always iffy want to play Meister instead of this. Bell worked out today to a degree, but against like the bird deck, for example, I'd rather have the Meister. So it makes me like think about what I want to do differently. But the thing is, like, it's not like I'm really too concerned because like I have plenty of ways to help with the bird deck that it's not such a big deal. But like Bell is still a really strong card, so it's definitely one worth considering. I think a lot of people like to go with Bell anyways over Meister, but I always have that debate myself. So I don't know what's right or wrong, left or right, up or down, but it's probably right. For the spells, 3 Widow, 3 Shark Cannon, 2 Afterburner, 2 Area Zero, Multi-Roll, Hornet Drone, and Eagle Booster. There are times where I could see Shark Cannon honestly being only played at 2, but I think 3 just for utility factor plus playing Desires is kind of needed because it does come up enough to where you probably do want 3 Shark Cannon or just making sure you always have the ability to access it. So I think the card is perfectly fine at 3. If you play Prosperity instead of the Desires, for example, you could probably cut this down to 2, but I think it's fine. The Eagle Booster was actually really good, and it just made it so you stayed in the game. And usually if you stay in the game, you can, like, get to a point where you can, like, bring back tempo in your favor, because that's just how the deck works. And, like, I was surprised at how well this performed, because I was really skeptical on it, but then Cody kind of sold me on it, and it ended up working out. So, otherwise, the rest of the spell lineup for Striker spells is really standard. Jamming Wave is still on the side, because it's not worth really maining. So anyways, rest of the spells play 3 Droplets, 3 Desires, Rhoda, Terraforming, Upstart. These are standard. I think Droplet's really standard for this deck. And it's especially nicer because since you play Imperm now, if you have like Imperm Droplet, you can just save the Droplet for their turn along with the Imperm, just stop them and then start playing again when that happens. So I think Droplet is even a little bit better with Imperm now. Desires I still think is better for this deck. People keep asking me why I just don't play Prosperity instead, because I keep bringing up the concept of being able to play the game, which Prosperity lets you see a specific card you need to be able to get in the game and then play afterwards, but I just think raw card advantage is what's going to carry you more in the game, just because it's a slowish deck like that, and typically, with the amount of starters that are in the deck, you should have a way to still see a starter with Desires still if you didn't already have a starter. So I'd rather trade the pure card advantage that you kind of need to like be able to outgrind your opponent and be able to do other things than just picking one specific card. In a lot of other decks, I think that's fine, but I think for this specific deck, Desires ends up being better. You could even do like 2 Desires, 1 Prosperity, honestly. I don't think that's even a bad choice. It's just, I don't know, I still think Desires is like too nice for this deck, so I wouldn't cut it if I don't have to. And for the extra deck, it's really standard. 3 Kagari, 3 Shizuku, 3 Hayate, 1 Kaina, 1 Zeke. That's all really standard. And obviously we don't play the Veiler still, so no Needle Fiber package, so it's just Unicorn, Phoenix, Ningirsu, and Access Code. I think these are perfectly fine. The Ningirsu is super good for this deck, and I don't know, I think this card's super nice and does a lot for the deck. These two, just having the pure utility can come up a lot, especially because people are playing Order right now, and just like saving your Ningirsu for a different point and then just going Unicorn into Access Code is like really nice. So all these cards I think were perfect, and I wouldn't change them for anything else. Like I maybe consider like one of the Charmers, but I think overall at the end of the day, these are perfectly fine, and I still don't feel like I really need the Fiber Engine. So I'm not really like too concerned about that. And yeah, Dragoon out is kind of important. So yeah, the Ningirsu was like the one main change of the extra deck that I had before when I posted my one deck profile. Obviously we're not playing Gamma anymore, so Ningirsu was like the next thing I wanted to put in the extra deck anyways, and I think it's just been working out so far. And then for the side deck, I play the Lancia just because I was trying this instead of Psycho Reader, for example. Just because I felt like with all the cards that are already in the main deck, it's already geared enough towards Drytron anyways. And even though this is more of a stop to Virtual World than like any other card that exists, I felt like this is just still, at the end of the day, one of the best ways to get there with Virtual World. And just stopping them is like, unfortunately going to be good enough. And then you just hope you open like decently enough to where you can kind of just like grind through their resources slowly, and I think that's just what you have to do with this deck. It may not be completely ideal, but I think the Lancia is perfectly fine. Plus, Lancia has versatility anyways in a lot of different decks. So I don't think it's a bad choice either way. So I think it's perfectly fine just because it has more versatility than other cards. And then for last monster, 1 Pankratops because you're playing a slow deck and you don't mind VFD as much, so you just want the extra back row removal too. And then for spells, 3 Cosmic, 1 Duster, 1 Jamming Waves. And to go with the back row removal, we also have the 3 Evenly. I think Evenly is a lot better in this deck than other decks right now. And you have a lot of room in the list because you're manning like 12 hand traps and then like another 3 pseudo hand traps. So I think the Evenly is really nice because there's even still some instances against combo where this card comes up. So I think Evenly is perfectly fine. And then the rest of the spell and trap lineup is pretty standard, I feel like. Still essentially the same from what I played before. And then 3 Strike. Play this instead of Judgment just because like this is a lot better going second. So like if you think they might make you go first, you can put this in either way. But then it's still going to be a very impactful card no matter what. So I think this card just helps out in the long run no matter what. So this card is really nice, and yeah, it pulls weight very easily. But anyways, that is it for the deck list. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And like usual, if you want to see this done live and you kind of like what you see, make sure you check out the Twitch channel. Link will be down below in the description. We always have a lot of fun. We always enjoy stuff going on. It's always a good time, so make sure you check out the Twitch. I would really appreciate it. And otherwise, make sure you check out the sponsors, Midwest Gaming, TGG Gaming, and then YGO Daily. Use code MWG5 for 5% off your entire purchase. And make sure you like and subscribe on the video. It helps me out a lot. And otherwise, I'll do it. Thanks for watching, you guys, and have a good one. Bye!